Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast where I talk to whoever I want to within the shooting industry because I can, because it's America. So enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get to today's sponsor. Today's show is always sponsored by Go Fast Don't Suck. Go get your merch. Go get your dry fire targets. Go get your decals. Go get your memes that make you happy because it makes fun of you and your friends. So it's all good. So go check out gofastdon'tsuck.net and tell them Manny sent you. I might get something. You might get something too. I don't know. Just let Bill know you're coming from me. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk to today's guest, the guy with the BDE, Mr. David Blanton, or the Humble Marksman. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening, Manny?
I am doing fantastic. So how does it feel to have all the BDE?
It feels like stepping on a lot of Legos and knowing a lot of miscellaneous facts about nonsense that only a 4 to 10-year-old could care about.
Fair enough. Now, what's the most popular cartoon in your household?
Right now, that would be the two big boys are not so much into the cartoons anymore. They watch, big kid shows, but the 4-year-old's really holding it down with the Lego Jurassic World right now. That's his jam. So watching a lot of dinosaur stuff here recently.
And that's not bad. I mean, you can go watch Jurassic Park with Chris Pratt in it, but
we watched all of them. He's too young to really pick up on the graphic violence, and the big kids are right on the cusp of that being appropriate for him. So, everybody had a good time. We saw some dinosaurs. He was baby T-Rex for about 6 weeks. Had to call him baby T-Rex, and we're past that now.
Well, there you go. That's always good. So for anyone who doesn't know, David runs the Humble Marksman YouTube channel. It's blowing up, so you'll have to check it out. We'll plug in more later in the show. But David, how did you get into competitive shooting?
So not being political, but politics plays into this story. But back after the Aurora shooting, Obama started posturing that he was going to take executive action on guns. And being hard-headed like I am, I decided, you know what? This is a good time to go out and buy one of these guns I've always been thinking about getting. So I went out and I bought the very finest in guns that they had. They put two in my hand. One of them was a Glock 19C. And I said, no way. This one's a little bit cheaper. And I like the way it feels in my hand better. It was a Springfield Armory XD9 Service. So I was clearly on the fast track to being amazing at guns because I made such amazing choices. And so I was like, well, I got this gun. I need to figure out how to shoot it. So there was a range that was about, 15 minutes from my house indoor range. And they had, a TV, and they started recording their weekly IDPA match. And somebody made like a sizzle reel for that match and put it on there. The range is awesome. If you're in the Atlanta area, Georgia firing line up in the Marietta, Kennesaw area, cool range, good people up there. But I saw that and I was like, that's about the coolest thing ever. These guys are running around in front of the firing line. They're shooting at targets real fast. They're doing reloads. It's all the stuff that I want to do, but can't because all I do is shoot at a firing line. So I was like, I'll go check out one of these things. So I grabbed my trusty XD9 Service. I grabbed my crossbreed, whatever the tuck holster is. I don't even remember what they're called anymore. The fancy hybrid holster. I had I was like a Black Hawk mag pouch or something like that. Had to buy an extra magazine. I thought it was a lot of money back at the time. And so I went and I shot the match. My cover garment to shoot IDPA was my red and white Hawaiian shirt. This is pre-Boogaloo time. So yeah. It was, it was delightfully ironic back then. Shot the match, did okay, kind of came in mid-pack. I never was one of these like start at the bottom kind of guys because I did have a pretty good basis of fundamentals. I could at least hit what I was aiming at. So I was like, right at probably the 50% mark for the match. And I was like, well, that's embarrassing. I should have done better than that. I'm going to do this some more. So then I found kind of the podcasts that were floating around at the time, started dry firing, trying to get as good as I could get. And then, you know how it is. It's the little incrementalism. I was like, yeah, you shoot what you can afford. And as your paycheck kind of increases year after year, as time goes on, you're like, I'm going to just do a little bit more. just kept inching into it. So the going to shoot a match once a month or so turned into a match, every 2 weeks with payday, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, no, I'm gonna have to figure some things out. So I figured out to, get more money into my budget to go shoot the match every week. Then I started match directing it and started, messing around, made it all the way up just to this side of master in IDPA. And it's like, I'm gonna go shoot Ghost PSA now. And then it just got absolutely annihilated. Came in as a C class when I was, darn near a master in IDPA, came in as a C class and just started chasing guys in the kind of Atlanta area. There's some pretty squared away production shooters because production was the biggest and best division at the time. So we were all doing the production thing out in Atlanta, the Riverbend Gun Club. So moved to Texas, started shooting carry optics around the same time. And now I'm shooting open because that is the way of things. If you think carry optics is fun, open is even more fun. Yes, you get used to the ammo and the gun problems. It's just part of it and you learn to love it. It's just the way it is. But open is the one true division. And I'm excited for you to get started in your open shooting career.
It's going to be so fun. Hopefully after nationals, I'll have a gun, so we'll be okay there. We're just hating dry fire and shooting matches until then, because I feel like an open pour.
In all fairness, I would say that carry optics is probably like 90 to 95% as fun as open. It's just the pace at open is so ridiculous. Like I'm a solid M, flirting with G in carry optics, but in open, I just don't have the pace. I have to be faster. It's just everything happens so fast in open. And like the meme is, oh, you just get an open gun because you can't hit all the targets. Yeah, we know why you shoot an open gun. It's just like, bro, we've all got open guns and you don't understand how fast it is. It's so much faster. Like everything has to be right now, because if it's not right now, you're behind the curve. Like it's sprinting with handguns at the end of the day. And it's interesting. Like the major thing, it's not because I can't hit the target, it's because it factors into the aiming strategy. If I've got a larger aiming area on the target, I can exercise a looser fundamental on my trigger and my sight to accept Charlies, because they don't hurt that bad, but at the same time they do hurt. So if you look at the points counts between the top end of the open guys, they're all shooting the same points or better than all the minor divisions. But they're just doing it fast, super fast. You can get away with the 90 to 92%, but the guys who are winning are closer to that 95% mark on points. So it's fun, man. All of it's fun. I would say that maybe low cap isn't as fun like people think it is, but it's not. Nope. So their opinions are wrong, and open's the one true division. So now nobody else is left listening to the podcast, and I apologize for that, Manny.
It's okay. We do have revolver GMs who listen to this, so it's okay.
That's just a straight up masochist, man.
Yeah, they do it because they love it, which is really cool, to be honest with you.
It is cool. In fairness, revolver of the low cap divisions, revolver and single stack, I think, are the cool low cap divisions, just because there's like a soul in both of those guns where, the production type guns just aren't as intrinsically awesome as a good revolver or a good 1911.
Exactly. Now, well, and honestly, it's like I don't agree when people say we should axe revolver. We do have a space for revolver. It just can't be a standalone nationals. You let those guys play with themselves at low cap. It's just how it is.
Well, what do you think about the classic thing of bundling 1911s and revolvers together like IPSC does?
Well, maybe if IPSC has a good, I say we glean off of them a little bit. And shit, if we even want to try putting production single stack and limited 10 together to start and then put revolver in later, maybe it could work, but test the waters that way.
Yeah. Let me throw something at you. I'm actually going to do a podcast on my podcast stream, the Humble Marksman podcast, later this month. I think the 11th is when we're going to go live. But what if a gun company introduces a technology that is not currently contemplated by the US PSA rules, and it sees widespread adoption amongst the enthusiast set, and it breaks kind of the production rule set? And there's nothing that's precluding it other than the USPSA doesn't have to put the gun on the list, so it's eligible in carry optics in production, but it breaks it. Like, at what point do we say, okay, these divisions had a good run, but we either need to amend them or revisit them entirely. Because in my opinion, we're close to revisiting them entirely. Like you can't just keep patching it and moving along. The technology's changed so much. I mean, SIG with the modular handguns is basically broken the spirit of what a production division could be, to the point where it almost doesn't even make sense to keep it alive in its current form. But I mean, I think the dot major, dot minor, irons major, irons minor thing probably is going to happen just somewhat out of necessity.
I would say within at least the next 3 to 4 years, probably it's going to happen at some point, because, you know, staccatos are becoming so popular and everyone likes their 3-gun guns.
I mean, there's tremendous pressure for the single action carry optics guns. And what's fun is the guys on Instagram know as well as you and I do that the guns do not matter at all. But they're like, yeah, but we don't want to let them into our division because all these guys shoot carry optics, because almost everybody shoots carry optics. And it's like, it's not going to make a difference. And you know it. I mean, half these kids are shooting Tanfos or Shadows, which basically is a 2011. But they're like, no, but shooting a 2011, that's way gayer than shooting a Shadow 2 or a Tanfo. It's like, I would say it's about the same.
It is. Well, and if you think about it, it's sad that they bought the Slide Ride 2011 instead of buying a proper open gun.
It is honestly.
If you're gonna spend that kind of money, might as well just buy an open gun.
Well, I don't know. There's something about the 1911, 2011 design where like the slide frame and barrel, because they use bull barrels, just hold up for so darn long. And in a minor gun, basically indefinitely. Whereas like the stuff that breaks on a 2011 shooting minor is almost nothing. Whereas like the SIGs are going to break their takedown levers. The Shadow 2s are going to break their slide stops and trigger return springs. You know, everybody but probably Glocks is going to have something that breaks with use, and a 2011 almost doesn't. I mean, you'll still break a firing pin every once in a while. Obviously, everybody's going to have those, but I mean, the parts just hold up so much better. So there is something nice about that kind of platform that's so easy to work on, because it's way easier to work on than even a CZ. I mean, yeah, CZs aren't so bad to work on after you do it 3 times. Yeah, but like 1911s and 2011s are easy to work on more or less out of the box.
And nobody wants to rip apart their gun at the safe table at a match.
No.
Nobody does.
No, and I would say even since I've been in this game, the 2011s are becoming significantly more reliable. I mean, to the point where I shoot a match in a really sandy, dusty environment, and the failure rate between even open guns and limited guns versus carry optics and production guns is essentially the same. Everybody's got the same stupid slide cuts on their guns, so it lets dust in the slide, and that causes malfunctions. It doesn't matter who made the gun. So that's the other part is people don't know how to load ammo. So that's usually the culprit.
Yeah, that is definitely true. You can have a gun. You could have a perfectly running gun until you put bad ammo into the gun.
I mean, it shows its head more on open guns, especially 9 major open guns, because like it's not the same. As you'll learn that real soon. Like I can drink a beer and load ammo thing that goes away when you have to look in every single case, and if any round doesn't look and feel exactly right, you pull it. Like it's not worth trying to figure out later from the ammo bin.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this is also a thing when you're talking about that dust. You wear a gun cover. You just
I wear a gun cover in every division I shoot now. There's not a good reason, and there's 2 reasons why you do it. It's not just the dust, although that is the thing. It keeps dust off the backside of your optic if you don't have an optic cover, which is nice not to have because you lose those darn things. I've probably gone through 4 or 5 of the Range Panda optic covers because it just gets knocked off, and I was like, I lost it now. Yeah. But and the other side of it is in the hot summer sun, especially in the American South, like metal guns heat up to be hot to touch. So it's nice not to have your gun be like, ooh, this is uncomfortable at load and make ready. So get a gun cover if you don't have one. They're like $15. They're easily worth the money they're asking.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially if I wish you could still get the Techwear ones that were like really cool looking. But
yeah.
They just
the double alpha ones are still pretty darn cheap. I got that double alpha one from the Ben Steger Pro Shop for, I want to say it was like $16, and it's a high quality gun rug.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I don't know if I have the same one you do, but I have a double alpha one, but it's definitely worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, easily. That and a mag brush. I mean, everybody should have a mag brush if you're shooting high cap.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, not everyone has a special one like you do, though.
I actually, that one found its way on into the world. Marcelo gets to enjoy my special mag brush thanks to the bearded shooter.
Yeah.
That was really funny because he took, so the game, what Mandy and I are referring to is there's a game that's kind of going around the Texas area going to majors, is when people are shooting, somebody will see if like they can see their mag brush sticking out of their bag, they'll grab it and they'll take the handle off of it and they'll put a 3D printed cock and balls, I guess, on it, so that the handle of their mag brush is a member. And it's embarrassing to shoot the match with it. Mine happened to be neon green and apparently glowed in the dark, although I wouldn't know. Yeah. So Marcelo now has my mag brush. So there you go, Marcelo.
There you
Enjoy
go.
that one, big boy.
But there you go. Now just you have to go buy a new one. That's all you got to do now.
Well, I already had one from a goodie bag I got at another major, so I was happy to let that one go into the wild.
Well, that's good. So, David, besides being an internet media awesome dude, have you taken any USPSA formal training?
I've taken a few classes now. Back in the day when I was shooting production, I took one of the bin classes. Taken the Steve Anderson, his level 2 class. I can't remember what he calls it. The advanced class, I guess. I think that's what he called it at the time. I took just this past year, I took the Charlie Perez Big Panda Performance class, and that was really, really good. So Charlie is really squared away. I got a lot, like, I would say if you're new to the game, Charlie Perez has kind of like a method for everything. So while like everybody kind of develops their own method for stuff over time, but Charlie Perez has this very discrete method that he will tell you. And if you don't want to take a class, you can read his book, and he basically spells it all out there. And so he's got a method for more or less everything. So if you don't have that lots and lots of reps yet, it's good to just latch on to whatever it is he's telling you and just figure it out on your own from there. It's a fantastic starting point. So he does that, and he kind of, the way he structures his class is he's got kind of a stage day where you start on it and you see kind of these concepts and how you do these things. And he has kind of like a drills day the next day where he kind of like shows you how to fix all the stuff you've got going on. And it was a really strong class, and a lot of people, I was the class host, so a lot of the people who took the class were comparing it to other instructors they've taken it from. And I mean, he was getting really high marks all the way around. So I can enthusiastically recommend the Charlie class. It's very good. But the Steve class is also awesome. I mean, Steve does a great job. It's like he's not necessarily trying to upgrade your motor. He's trying to upgrade your transmission with like the mental management piece, which sounds really hokey and woo woo, but like there was a lot going on there that you can get at through what he's kind of teaching there. He kind of meets you where you are. He doesn't really go too hard into technique or anything like that. He just kind of sees where you're at and helps you try and figure out how you can get more of what you're capable of with each one of your runs, which is obviously very useful.
Oh, it absolutely is. I quite enjoy Steve, although his podcast has gone a little dry on me lately. So
I haven't listened to his podcast in a while. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about. That's why I don't do my podcast all the time. It's just like, how much can we really talk about here, guys?
Exactly. So, now, but to take a Charlie class, you actually have to read his book before you take the class.
It is prerequisite that you buy his book and read it. And it's not so much because he's trying to sell books. It's entirely to get everybody on the same page. And because he does do that, there were some lower level shooters who were in our class, but the ones who actually read the book understood what he was saying much, much faster, because it kind of establishes the vocabulary that he uses, so that when he says a thing, you already know what it means. He doesn't have to spend the time kind of explaining it. And so I kind of like it that way. I mean, some other people will hand out their books as part of like course material, and you kind of work through the book while you're there, and it's kind of the parting gift where you can go and like train with it on your own. And that's there's still value there. I think I probably prefer Charlie's approach of like, here's the manual. All right, now remember, because we all read the manual, this is the way it is. So
And there's obviously people who obviously don't read the book prior to class.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, it's really obvious, those people, because we had in the class I took, or that I hosted him for, we had two guys who had never shot USPSA before, but were interested, and they read the book. And we had one guy who does shoot USPSA, who's like a D class, and didn't read the book. And the D class dude struggled the most out of everybody. The two guys who read the book made night and day improvements, like over the 2-day period. I mean, it's in that really early learning phase where you just, you can be twice as good after 2 days of practice, and that's like achievable. Like they were that way. But I mean, myself and there's another M in the class as well. And, we thought we were just going to be kind of like cloistered together, trying to get something out of it. But he really does meet you where you're at, because like he does, you end up, going through an exercise one person at a time, and he gives you like coaching for your specific things. And, sometimes the answers go dry fire. Sometimes it's just something to think about that you're doing wrong. And so he really does meet you where you're at on that regard.
That is pretty cool. Now, did you put your thumb rest back on your gun?
I got lazy and I didn't want to get the heat gun out to take it off, but I don't really use it. Like, it's just there, and like I can feel it, but I don't apply pressure to it very much. I get more out of putting more pressure through my palm onto the grip than I do from using the thumb rest.
Very well. I asked the other person who took that class, and he's like, nope, I put it back on.
Yeah. Coy. But I mean, we both ignored our thumb rest, both immediately had better results when we were shooting rapidly. Like, oh, darn it.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of this season, I may take, next time I have the guns all the way apart, I'll probably take them off, but I'm just kind of lazy. I don't like wrenching on guns.
Well, at least the nice thing about your guns is the fact that they're built into kind of the frame mount. So they're not like, you don't have to mess with the holes at all. They're just on the side of it.
Yeah, that's also true. So
because
it goes to show you just how lazy I am, that I can't even get the heat gun out to break that Loctite and take it off. But whatever.
And it's because you're shooting the most fabulous what?
The ultimate racer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So which one's the primary gun and which one's the backup gun now?
My original gun is still my primary. Truth told, my new gun is a little bit more sensitive on limp wristing. Like, if I'm not putting pressure onto the manual safety through my thumb, it can choke sometimes if like I'm shooting strong hand or weak hand only. So it's a good training tool, but at the same time, like, I can shoot it in matches. I have shot it in matches. It does fine. It's just that every blue moon, if I don't have my technique just so, I'll be rewarded with it, not quite going into battery, which is not a big deal. It's just tapping it into battery and going for it. But at the same time, the other gun has been so ridiculously reliable, I don't see the point in making a change. They're set up identically. So other than the optic and manual safety, like, those are the only two things left to change.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you going to
get those squared away?
Are you going to change the optic to the Alpha 3 again?
I don't know. I don't know. I really like the glass on the SIG Romeo Max. Mm-hmm. The glass and emitter is just so clean on those. It looks fantastic. And I may go that route. I don't know. But I mean, I don't necessarily want to drop $1,000 on another pair of optics. I'm happy to limp along. The Bull optic is perfectly serviceable. It's good. The Alpha 3 has been fantastic. It hasn't had issues either. But it's not that important at the end of the day. It doesn't really make that much of a difference, because if you're doing it right, your dot isn't like super bright anyway. Mm-hmm. So, well,
especially if you're wearing Hunter's HD rubies, you don't need the dot that bright at all. I ordered some of those, so
Did you?
Yep, finally.
Nice. Yeah, if it's more of a sunglasses kind of day, I'll wear my rubies, and if it's more of a overcast kind of day, I'll wear the golds. Mm-hmm. And I got another pair, like a vendor reached out and was like, hey, you should check these out. We'd make these glasses. It's called Gators with a Z, out of Arizona. Apparently it's like real big amongst the tactical community. I had never heard of them, but they have like aluminum frames. Their lenses are good, not like Hunter's HD good, but good. But the frames are made out of aluminum, so you can kind of like bend them up just so to make them really comfortable on your head. And so I've been messing around with those here recently. And if I'm not shooting matches, they look more like regular people sunglasses. So I've been wearing those to good result.
Fair enough. That's kind of interesting. But you got to look normal in the crowd. You can't look like super nerd
You've
USPSA
done it.
guy.
You've worn your goals around, and people are like, "What the hell are those things on your face?" It's just like,
I wear them every day at work. I've got a pair that Brian sent me to wear only at the office, and it's quite nice. And everyone, like, the first day was like, "What the hell? You can't wear those." I'm like, "Where does it say I can't?" So it's like, then you go through the literature, and then it's all this, and then like, oh, it's that guy with the yellow glasses. It does make sitting in front of a computer all day so much better.
I agree. It does seem to block the blue light. Like I broke my regular. I'm a contacts and glasses wearer, and for a while I wasn't wearing contacts. And I broke my glasses, and while they were getting repaired, I used my prescription HD golds in the office setting, and it filters out the blue light from computer screens beautifully. They're really good. I mean, they're magical lenses. So we can't really say enough good things about them. Like, you really do have to experience it to see what it's about.
Oh, absolutely. You absolutely do. It's this thing that you just need to join the Hunters HD cult, because you'll be okay after that point.
And then Brian will take you into the magical mystery tour bus. If you see him at a major, he'll feed you all of the hemp energy drinks that you can handle, and life will be so much better.
And he'll even give you a cigar.
Oh, he's not giving me a cigar. Brian, we need to talk.
Nope. You just say, "Hey, bro, pop the humidor open."
Oh, I didn't realize that was the thing.
Yeah, I have 2, and I haven't smoked them yet, but I'm waiting.
He's such a cool dude.
He is. The van is legit. It's a super cool dude. You can just sit there and talk for hours. That'd be like the whole point, just to go talk to him and not shoot the match.
Did you see what he sent out? He has just gotten clearance from USPSA where his vendor area is a safe area. So if you have gun problems, like, he has gunsmithing tools and like fibers and batteries and all the stuff you can need. So all you have to do is take your gun off in a safe area, bag it, carry it over to his tent, and you can work on your gun over there with like proper gunsmithing tools now, which is like, that's an absolutely ingenious thing, especially for these flyaway matches where we all kind of travel light and we bring like the crappy small lightweight tools and not like good ones. And it's really a really smart move on his part. And it doesn't really cost him anything other than a little bit of space in the van, which he's got plenty of.
Right. Which you already had dedicated to
right
table anyway. So like, might as well, right?
Yeah. So he's very forward thinking. It comes up with a lot of cool ideas like that. So good on him.
Absolutely. So David, what drives your shooting right now?
Right now, it's been mostly kind of channel related. I mean, I've been keeping up with the US PSA politics, just kind of from a punditry kind of level, but I hadn't really been shooting much this summer because it was a unusually hot summer in Texas, and we just had a lot going on. So I withdrew. I was telling you in the pre-show, I withdrew from 5 matches so far this summer. I'm going to shoot my first one this weekend, but watch it rain like cats and dogs, and it get canceled. But there's no rain on the sea. It doesn't rain in Dallas in the summer. But so we've just mostly been doing kind of the YouTube channel type stuff, going around, traveling, doing that kind of stuff, making content. And that's been really fun. You know, doing the podcast thing as well, just amusing myself with it. But you know, I think that there's a big unserved need. Like, it's gun media is something that can like create sort of a tribe. Like, look at Instagram. If you stay on Instagram long enough, you end up following a solid chunk of the US PSA community on Instagram. And like, gun media does effectively a very similar thing, like through YouTube and the other video platforms. And we're not doing that right now from USPSA level. And like, I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with it and getting kind of creative with it. I'm going to buckle down and try and train up for nationals now, starting now. But, you know, I wish that we did a better job on the media piece. And I mean, there's some dudes out like Tactical Hive on YouTube. He's got a line on all the Tactibros as well, but he, you know, once a week he's dropping a video on competition shooting stuff. Miles, he does an amazing job. He's a much better content creator than I am, and he does great work. So he just crossed 200,000 subscribers. So he's absolutely crushing. He'll hit the inflection point and just take off. He'll be a million in no time.
Now, is that his full-time gig?
I don't know exactly. I don't think so. I think he had like something that's kind of adjacent to that kind of, production work, but it wasn't like, I don't think it's full time for him. No.
Fair enough. Now, what are your goals currently for like USPSA? I know you said you've backed off a little bit, but
I did, and I'm getting back into it. So just mathematically, because I'm not going to shoot enough matches to actually make master. I mean, ultimately, trying to make master in open is probably where I think my ceiling is going to be. But I can become a competitive master, if not get the M card necessarily in open division. So to that point, it's largely for the rest of the year. My focus is going to be on all of the other stuff that's not pulling triggers, doing that much faster and with maximum aggression, because I'm a big dude. So like, I don't want to commit all my body weight and build up that momentum, then have to kind of slow it down. But no, that you can't do that. You have to basically throw it all around and see where it sticks. But even like Charlie showed me in his class, like even silly stuff like on a wide transition, when you have to clear the gun around the barricade, just the level of aggression to pull the gun into your chest and pop it back out to start aiming again before you swing onto the target. Like by doing that faster, you end up doing the the movement to actually swing the gun faster as well. So he says aggression begets aggression, and he's not wrong. I mean, if you make it your goal to try and break your front mag pouch on the reload while you start to move, you run faster. It's like, okay. So that's what I'm focusing on, and specifically my transitions, getting my transitions to be more competitive with what's out there. So I'll be picking up, per the Grandmaster 26's recommendation, I'll be picking up one of the VR practice sim rigs to practice transitions with and see how that goes. So that'll be a video that'll come out on the channel later this fall, probably after nationals.
GM26 is very smart. He is very knowledgeable for however he does whatever he wants to do. It's kind of crazy. Like I remember when he tried to dabble in golf.
Yeah, he also dabbled in like bench rest 22 and all this other kind of stuff. Like he was just trying to learn like the absolute shortcut to perform at a stupid high level. Like he's only shooting left-handed right now. Like that's his whole thing, is he's only shooting left-handed.
With the PCC, right? Or is it with
no? He's shooting a some kind of, like, I think it's a SIG AXG right now. He's shooting, and I think he's shooting it in open. I don't think he's shooting it in carry optics like a sensible person, because why would he? He's Tony. That's what he does.
Right. He wants to. You know him. He wants to go. He made major out of a 26.
He wouldn't recommend doing that. It's like there's not enough slide mass to do that safely on a 26, and so your options for springing the gun are basically non-existent.
Yep.
So it's not a Glock action is not a good action to build an open gun on. I don't care who says they've done it successfully. Like not having locking lugs is a recipe for disaster out of a major gun.
Yes, it definitely is. It was entertaining to see a 34 barrel out of it though. So that was kind of
that was fun to see. And he also got the Roni upper receiver or whatever to turn it into a PCC, but those things are so loose in there that you can't get any kind of precision out of it. So he was shooting this monstrosity of a PCC Glock 26. And he figured out a way he could shim it with like JB Weld. And it's like, this is going to be my PCC that I compete with now. It's like, you're an absolute legend, Tony.
Well, I mean, I blame John a little bit. It's all John's fault.
Yeah, but I mean, just the complete over the top nature of what Tony's ideas are. Like, I don't think that's John. I think that's pure Tony. It's just the ridiculous, like, drill into an idea and squeeze all the merit out of it kind of approach to it probably was influenced by John to a degree, but Tony's an interesting character.
Yeah. Are you gonna see you're gonna see Robert and John again? Area 4 this year?
Yeah. We're sharing an Airbnb up at Area 4 later next month, so we'll be shooting on Friday up there. So if you're at Area 4 and at the range on Friday, keep an eye out for us. Like, we may or may not be wearing like wrestling costumes. We don't know yet.
So are you gonna be the Macho Man this time?
Well, I mean, I don't want to limit myself, man. I really want to explore where the mood takes me and just be who I need to be for the match that day.
Just remember, you were the guys at Walmart.
I bought face paint. I was the ultimate. Well, I had watched an Ultimate Warrior documentary the night before we drove up to Tulsa. And then after a couple beers at dinner, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do tomorrow? I'm gonna be the ultimate warrior at the match tomorrow. Let's go to Walmart. I'll buy some ribbon and some face paint. We'll make this happen. So we did.
There you go. That was always a hoot. That's always a hoot when you can get in a character like that.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, it's stupid, and
Mhm.
there's not a reason to do it. Probably didn't help my match any, but it was amusing to me. So,
Yeah. Now, how was it dealing with 3 left-handed shooters on your squad? The
I
ratio must have been off.
I didn't notice that at all. But what I did notice is that Yi-Min Lin takes forever to make ready to shoot. So, if he does become president and we don't get a make ready time limit, I'll be very disappointed.
But is there going to be a president exemption?
There better not be, or I'm never shooting with him again.
Yeah. Well, honestly, let's talk about that because that's actually an interesting topic. We talked about that a little bit at the match this weekend. I think you and I are in agreement. I think there should be some form of time limit because some people take forever, especially when you're trying to make 45-minute turns on a match.
Yeah. We need to be able to predict how long it's going to take to shoot and reset. And if the difference is only between like a G class doing a stage in 12 seconds and a D class doing it in 29 or 30, and you're not piling on the GM taking a minute and a half to get ready on top of it, it's there's more. Like, there's a guy who I shoot with here locally who wears a hat cam, and he has about a close to 2-minute, I would guess, make ready. And he won't even take, because he uses the same hat cam I do, it's the Insta360. He won't even take his hat cam out while he's the on deck shooter and put it in the cradle on his cap until he gets the make ready command. So it's like a solid like 15 seconds of just futzing with his hat cam to get going. Because I mean, through shooting both sports, USPSA and IDPA, I have about a 30-second make ready in USPSA now. And that's because I'll do one visualization at the line and I don't do that in IDPA. But I mean, with all my camera nonsense that I have, I step to the line, I check my optic, I charge the gun, put it in the holster, start my cameras. If it's USPSA, I'll do one visualization. If it's not USPSA, then I'll just be ready to shoot. And that takes about 10 to 12 seconds in IDPA, and it takes about 30 to 40 seconds in USPSA. And I honestly could give up the visualization, because if you haven't done it, since you were the on deck shooter and all that kind of stuff, you're not doing it right anyway. So,
right.
I think there's a courtesy and respect thing in processing shooters, and like a dude with a 2-minute make ready is making every single person on his squad wait around, like as soon as it's a 12-man squad. So that's a half hour of everybody's life just watching this guy who doesn't feel quite comfortable enough to go shoot yet. It's like, okay, well, maybe take that 2 minutes when you're about to be the on deck shooter or in the hole shooter, take an extra 2 minutes on that end where it doesn't affect everybody else in the entire match. Like, it's indefensible at this point. It's just hugely incourteous. It doesn't really, if you do a make ready properly, it doesn't really affect your match performance either. Like, you should be burned in by then. If you aren't burned in by the time you get the make ready command, it's not going to happen.
Right. And I definitely recommend not changing your make ready at a major match. So don't add cameras on your first at a major match. Like, you're asking for stupid shit.
I keep my make ready similar, but I actually pare down my cameras for a major match so that it's less to futz with. I just kind of like, I'll use the 360 cams, and I might use 3 or 4 in a club match, and I'll use like maybe 2, maybe 3. Right. Depending on it. But I mean, effectively, it's like operating 2 because they're on a remote. All the GoPros are, and the hat cam is just the press of the camera body and it goes. So I streamline it to the extent that I can.
You don't need to put yours in pro mode?
It's always in pro mode.
Okay.
I have it set up so that when you click it, it always records in pro.
Fair enough.
It is the Insta, just for everyone who's not familiar, we're talking about the Insta360 Go 2. And pro tip on that, you need to turn off wind noise reduction and always shoot in pro mode. You can set it up in the menu so that it shoots in pro mode, and that is required.
Right. That is definitely and even I say is like, I do the sky cam thing, which is beneficial because no one has to bother with taking a phone or anything. That's what I love. I tell everyone the benefit of it. So yeah, it's going to cost you some money to get it set up, but you get the same consistent stage video if you're just looking at video, not entertainment wise, but like just stage video. But No one has to bother with it, and I always have my camera. If I have a GoPro like camera on the hat, I always have it running as I'm the on deck shooter because I ain't got time to remember that shit.
I mean, for me, it's just burned into my routine that as soon as the gun is charged and in the holster, the camera start. Like that's how it goes for me. So it's not a big deal. I mean, memory's pretty cheap at the end of the day. Storage space on hard drives isn't too bad either.
And at like say, what was you shot? What Dragon's Cup? That was 12 stages, right?
Yeah.
Did you have to worry about either your files being too big or the battery dying on your hat cam?
No, on my hat cam, because the Insta360 has a cradle for charging, and I take it out after every stage and put it back in the crate, back in this little charger case. So I have no idea how much battery was left on the charging case at the end, but I mean, I always had 100% when I was on the range. But as far as the GoPros, yeah, I mean, they were down to about 15 or 20% because I mean that match just took forever. So I shot it all in one day, and it was the first like 101-degree day or whatever of the year, and at least the first I'd been in. I think it'd been up there in Odessa prior. So,
right.
Yeah, buddy.
Nothing wrong. Well, the temperature does suck, but it's also, I mean, rule number one: don't shoot in Texas in one day at Dragon's Cup. Never again.
Yeah, that was a lesson hard learned. But yeah, they definitely shoot Dragon's Cup. It's an amazing match, but shoot it in 2 days. That's the way to go.
Yes, that is always the way.
I talked to Phil Strader when I was like, oh, yeah, we shot in 1 day. That's not the way to do it. Like, I'm going to shoot in 1 day tomorrow. And I texted him, like, did you survive? He's like, barely. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. I would advise against that. Which was really odd. We shot Area 5 and we shot it in a day and a half, which was odd for me. I thought it'd take 2 full days, but it was a day and a half. But I think we did 11 stages the first day.
11 to 12 stages is about max, in my opinion. You can do it in a day, and like really only that high if there are some like quick burner type stages, because you're not really testing shooting skill at a certain point. You're testing their ability to manage nutrition and caffeine levels and all this other stuff that is kind of beyond the scope of shooting. So,
right. Yeah. Don't die on me now.
Yeah, hit the cough button, man.
You got to be able to hit the cough button. That's rule number one.
That's right.
But we do have some listener questions, so we'll get to some of these.
Yeah.
What drove you to do the YouTube channel in the beginning?
Well, I started shooting USPSA, and the only place to store video back in the day, because like everybody's been filming themselves shooting since at least 2016 when I got started with it. The only place to store video online for free at that time was YouTube. And so I started putting it on YouTube. And I just saw it at the time, roughly that time frame, there weren't that many gun channels, and the big review type channels like at the time were like Such, Nut and Fancy, Hickok 45, and Mr. Guns and Gear, none of which are actively shooting competitively. So they would get a gun. Like the one that ultimately just made me decide to make me go do that was the Canik TP9 SFX when it very first came out. I think it was some gun like that. If it wasn't that one, it's some gun that came with a slide racker, and like this is great for competition shooters. And it's like it's a 9mm with a slide racker. That's not a competitive gun, and if you tell people to buy a gun that they ultimately aren't going to want to compete with, that just sticks in my craw. So I started putting competition centric videos out. And do not go watch these if you're listening to this. This is not like tongue in cheek, like, oh, he's just trying to get me to watch his videos. No, I am telling you, all of the videos I made until about 2020 are not worth watching.
They're not world-class firearms content.
They are not world-class firearms content. Do not watch them. They are a waste of your damn time. But
unless you want to laugh.
I mean, if you want to watch a tired new dad, do a terrible job recording audio and lighting and video and, talk about shooting, that's there for you. You can do it. I just wouldn't. But started doing kind of competition centric stuff and started kind of carving out a niche in that front and started kind of building momentum a little bit in the same way as like competitive shooting. We started inching into it more and more, eventually got like editing software that I paid for, still shooting everything on an iPhone. Then I got like a lavalier mic, so my audio was a little bit better. And then I got a real camera And then I got, a real editing software, like a pro level editing software. And I just got a new prosumer camera that is even nicer than what I had. I've got wireless microphones and stuff now. I got a bunch of lights and stuff. So making a more serious go at it now with all the kind of the incremental gear that comes with that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
Yeah, it definitely is fun. It is definitely fun to see the progression of videos. See the progression and be able to watch someone like grow from that beginning stage of that. Yeah, that is cringeworthy now,
Yeah.
but it's cool to see where you come and then what changes, and for everyone to see like, oh well, this is different, or they've changed their style. So it's kind of cool to see the evolutions.
Yeah, it definitely manifests because like there are like 5 or 6 skills layered on top of each other. Like you can level up your videography, you can level up your audio, you can level up your storytelling, you can level up your editing, and then like the creativity like of synergies between all three on just doing like I'm a big fan of making jokes between myself as the editor and myself as the presenter. So like as the editor, I will make fun of myself, the presenter, and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun, like thinking about it in kind of added layers and dimensions. It's just fun. It's a good creative pursuit. And honestly, it helped me a lot in my like day job career because learning how to communicate effectively, which is what making YouTube videos is, pays big dividends if you're able to communicate ideas concisely in a way people understand it. So, I mean, my career basically took off at the same time, like my channel progression. It's the same with practical shooting. I mean, you throw a lot of effort and energy into trying to master something, and that bleeds over into every other area in your life. So, I mean, having something that you're passionate about and is a reason to wake up extra early and, scrounge a little bit more so you can do a little bit more and just try and get a little bit better. Like that makes you a better person overall, even if it's something as like discreet as punching holes in paper faster or YouTube videos that in the scheme of things, a lot of people watch, but not that many people watch.
Right now. So if you're going to have to compare your level on YouTube as a content creator to the USPSA classification system, which classification would you give yourself?
Shit. That's hard. So like if you speak in absolute terms, I mean, like if you were to take the top 10 channels in the term of all YouTube channels, I'd probably be like a C class maybe, because like it's just like the USPSA skills gap. Like there's a difference between the guy who gets his G card and the guys who are placing in the top 5 at nationals. Like, and it's an ocean of difference between them. It's the same thing on content creation. So, I mean, if you just peel the niche down to just gun channels, I probably get promoted to a B class, maybe. And if it's on like performance pistol stuff, I would probably be like a middling M, because there's not that many channels in that like sub genre. So I don't know. I have fun with it. I'm not too worried about it.
So if you're going to look at the YouTube gun space, where or what channels are doing things right in your mind other than yourself?
People who are doing things in a unique way, because you can't just look like a Garantham or me or what other people are doing with their styles and just kind of copy their styles. You can be inspired by that, but you really have to find your own voice. And like a great example is Andrew Workman, who and I know. Work the Trigger is his channel, and he makes really good videos, like really good. And for him to be relatively as small as he is, I don't understand it, because the quality's there. It does a pretty good job with the storytelling. He does a great job on the videography and editing and sound. It just does a good job all the way around. And he has his own unique style and does a good job with that. The ones that are kind of harder to watch that I consider like the D-class bros would be the ones who are just kind of recording on their iPhone and doing low effort and not cutting out dead time and dead air, and like making it an enjoyable experience for the viewer. Because to me, that's just disrespectful. Like you can't spend that extra little bit of effort to get your stuff together. And, the idea you're trying to present isn't important enough for you to go the mile to put it in a package that's worthy of consuming. those guys kind of irk me. But I mean, 1911 Syndicate does a really good job. Tactical Hive, who I mentioned, does a great job. It's funny because I don't really watch that much YouTube gun stuff. Honest Outlaw, from like a general interest standpoint, does a great job. There's some interest. I can't remember the dude's name. There's some really thoughts. It's range thoughts or something like that. It's these three guys from like Las Vegas, and they just do these like range bros type videos. I think it's called Range Thoughts or something like that. I can't remember, but I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll come back to you with what that is.
Right.
But be unique, figure out your angle on something, speak in your own voice, have something valuable to say, and you can make good content. If you're not doing all that, then I mean, figure it out. It takes effort. It's getting reps, like effectively live firing. You develop it. It's a muscle.
Right.
But
so
no
there's
big deal.
So there is one more listener question that I want to make sure that I get to. When will David accept his age and start shooting revolver division?
Never.
More money, please.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, we Harrison, you are hilarious, sir, but no, thank you. I mean, maybe one match once, but no one wants to go set up a 929 and a new rig and speed loaders. Well,
yeah,
moon clips.
It's they're cool. I might get one eventually, but I mean, I'm gonna have to run out of things that interest me before I devote the time and money to figure out where to store a revolver in my safe.
Upside down, hanging from the trigger guard on a hook, obviously, because it's indestructible, right?
Not a bad thought,
right? But I mean, nothing wrong with some revolvers, but I have a revolver, but I can't shoot it in competition because it doesn't have the right cylinder release, because the cylinder release is in front of the cylinder.
Yep.
It's like, this is totally not effective. Not effective.
Yeah. A revolver, there's a certain kind of mystique to it. And we've got a dude here who is an absolute monster on him. He goes and shoots nationals every year, but he registers as a production shooter, so he has people to compete against, but he's shooting an 8-shot revolver. So it's pretty fun.
Okay, that's interesting. But I guess that makes sense, instead of being the only guy in revolver at your local match.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good job. I mean, they're really hammered by the reloads. That slows them down a lot, so that they're really tough to be competitive with.
Right. Well, and you're stuck to 8-round arrays. Like, you can't, and especially if there's steel, you can't miss on steel, because then you're doing standing loads the rest of the stage. So
that's right.
So they're doing wonky reloads. They're like, oh, I'm going to only take 6 here, and then plan for the worst. But
yeah.
So you said you're going to shoot nationals this year.
I'm on the wait list currently, but I'm planning on getting in and going.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, you went to nationals last year.
I did.
What, besides that you loved sitting in the car with the Cougar, did you enjoy nationals?
Yeah, Talladega kind of sucks because there's not a lot going on there, and I mean, the forest's pretty and all that kind of stuff, but that's not why you're there when you go shoot a nationals match. So, like, if you really like Waffle House and Huddle House and Cracker Barrel, we ate at Cracker Barrel probably 3 times. We ate at Huddle House twice. It's just there's nothing out there. But it was an okay match. The range is pretty nice. The stages were pretty good. So it's not my favorite range because they don't have enough bays quite to really do a nationals. But I think nationals needs to be a 3-day match. I think a 4-day match is kind of dumb. It doesn't really prove anything a 3-day match doesn't. Like 3, I think, is a really good number for a match. And from the fact that it's not a pro sport, like we're not tour pros who just like, well, there's an easy week plus of vacation gone. So if I can keep it to 3 or 4 days, it makes a big difference to me and my family if I can save an extra day or 2 of PTO.
Right, so, especially as long as the match lands on a weekend, because what Optics didn't land on a weekend last year. I don't think it was like a Sunday.
It got
Monday.
Started on like a Sunday. It was like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or something like that, and then the open match was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, got to make it work. Make it work. I understand how they try to do that. Make the most out of one set of staff, but it's it's not my favorite. I would appreciate it if
I don't know. It's tough for them because they're trying to save money and put the matches right next to each other so they can get the most out of their volunteers. But even still, like, how many people are volunteering to work both matches? Like, you have to be an absolute Iron Man to
A
want to.
retiree with nothing else to do. And
All right, you can work maybe one of the matches. So to that point, I think it probably makes sense to move the nationals, have one, like have one be late August, one be like late September, and have one be like mid-October if you have to do 3, and just do it that way. If you only have to do 2, then it might be like middle of September and middle of October, and post them in places around the country where you're not completely depleting the RO pool and burning up all their PTO days. So like you might do one in like not Colorado, but somewhere like Colorado, and then do one in Alabama. And I mean, or if they got like USSA in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is kind of in the middle of the country. So it's kind of accessible to everybody, sort of. But even still, like getting from Florida to Oklahoma is a long time, and getting from Washington to Oklahoma is still a very long time. So,
yeah, and don't even want to think about people living in Alaska. Rule number 1: don't live in Alaska if you shoot USPSA, I guess, right?
yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. But I would say that of the cities that I've shot majors in, I think Tulsa is probably one of the best, because it is like a properly big city, and the range isn't an hour from downtown. It's like 20 minutes from downtown. So from like a shooter experience, there's plenty of places to stay, tons of Airbnbs, tons of hotels, and there's actually meaningful things to do. If you brought your wife or family with you, you could actually like turn it into a trip that isn't entirely about shooting, although it still would be mostly about shooting. But there's plenty to do in Tulsa that, which, you know, I live in Texas now, and it's a proper Texas thing to crap on Oklahomans. So, you know, here I am saying nice things about them.
Right. Well, and yeah, it makes it convenient for the most part. And for the people who are foodies, they can actually go eat real food.
Yeah, we had a great time in Tulsa. We had a couple good meals there. So I mean, it's a good place.
Now, are you bringing your 1,000 lumen flashlight?
What?
You're gonna bring a 1,000 lumen flashlight so John can take his food pictures.
No, John, sure? Don't be dumb.
Get a good phone with a good camera.
No, we're not taking food pictures. That's like so
California
2000 and late. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody does that anymore.
Not even the food Instagrammers?
Well, I'm sure they do, but nobody. No, just no. Don't do it, John.
Sorry, John. You're not allowed now.
Don't do it.
That is funny. So how many stages do you think there should be in a 3-day nationals?
I think 6 or 7 a day makes the most sense. I would probably you could probably top out at 8 in a given day, but I don't think all the zones should have 8. So as many as maybe 24, but realistically probably 22, maybe 23 stages. That test consistency plenty. There's a chance to test basically every fundamental we have across that many stages. Like there's not a way like, oh, we just didn't get to that. We didn't have enough stages to test strong hand or weak hand. Like, no, there's plenty. You can do it.
Yeah, especially with that many stages. And if I think 7 would be an okay number, because what nationals was what 6, 6, and 5 or something, if I remember right, last year.
Yeah, race gun was, I believe that's right.
Yeah, so
it was. I think it was 18 stages last year.
Right. So yeah, 7 a day wouldn't be terrible.
Plus chrono.
Oh yes, the dreaded chrono. I mean, every major shooter should be fine, right? It's only the minor guys.
So no, because we started on chrono on day 3, and most of the 9 major powder is temperature sensitive. So when it's cold, it's slower. And when I shot in Dallas and chronoed my load, 172 power factor, no problem. First shot with a cold bore shot, 164. And I was like, oh no. And so he ended up shooting 3 or 4 shots, because the next 3 made it, but they were like 166. And all of that was due to temperature. So if you're doing chrono, the trick is to go to the function fire bay, and you're starting on that bay. Go to the function fire bay, right before you need to report to your bay. Do a mag dump to warm up your barrel and get it good and hot. And then while you're waiting, keep your ammo in the bag or whatever, like rub it around in your hands, or if they'll let you put it in your pocket or armpit to warm it up, just get the ammo warm. If you go to the safe table, you can squirt some oil down your barrel just to, give it a little bit more velocity. But that is a thing. Like, definitely, if you're going to chrono and you're going to be shooting it with a cold bore in the morning, clean your barrel the night before so it's just a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you probably have a mag gauge. Do you mag gauge before you go to majors just to be safe?
So I mag gauge all of my magazines as they come in. So like, I won't even put them in my range bag if they don't pass gauge. So so far, because I compete with MBX mags, they're all perfect. None of them have had any issues.
Have you ever seen any variance in the gauge?
Not with the gauge, but I have seen some variants, like especially like plastic base pads. People who are trying to save a little bit of money and not get aluminum base pads, like there can be some difference in the plastic. And I've seen guys with plastic base pads have issues passing gauge, but I haven't seen issues with generally aluminum. If the aluminum one's going to make it, then it usually always makes it.
Right. And what was it? The SIG 21 round factory mags, those seem to be an issue for a while.
About half of them will have issues, at least of the ones that I have. And I only have like 5, 6, I guess I have 6 of them now. And that's about right.
Yeah. But and some people just sand them. So what, sand the bottom of it down?
Yeah, it's the back edge of the mag base. You could just round that off a little bit and you'll be fine.
Fair enough. Yeah. We had Area 5, we had 3 sub minors and 1 guy shoot for no score because his big stick was too big.
That hurts.
That definitely does hurt. Luckily, he only shot 4 stages, so it wasn't the end of the world. He's like, well, I'm just gonna stop shooting because I'm not wasting my ammo.
Back in the day, like, I'm just here for fun and I'll just keep pulling triggers. But if you didn't travel, you drove in, you might as well just be like, nah, I'm gonna save the ammo. We'll just go home.
Yeah, well, of course it was on staff day too, so he was there the whole weekend anyway.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, well, it's almost as bad as when you start on chrono and then you find out that you don't make power factor, and then you still shoot the whole match.
Yeah, I've seen some of those guys, or some of those guys get bumped to open. We at Dragons Cup, some guy on our squad got bumped to open because he failed mag gauge. The guys, those Canik magazines with the +2 base plates that come with the guns don't make it, depending on which division you're in.
Yeah. Well, and then what was it? I saw a single stack. I was like, it was one of the later squads in the match, and I'm like, it says open, but he's shooting a single stack gun. Oh, the fuck. Doesn't fit the box.
I got one of those Bull Armory government 1911s in this week to do a video with, and I love the thing dearly. And I was like, maybe I'll pick up a belt and shoot a match or two in single stack or CDP. And I realized that it's a bull barrel gun, and that's illegal in all of the 45 divisions, which is a shame because it makes them nicer to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice gun, but it's purely a recreational gun because it is illegal in the shooting sports.
That's silly. Someone go change the rules.
It is silly. I don't know that would make weight in single stack, but
right. Well,
whatever.
Yeah, but what was usually the 9 minor gun? Well, the 9mm guns were having issues with the weight.
Yeah, they've got the same barrel outer diameter as the 45 gun, so it ends up with like a super heavy barrel. And the problem with that is it weighs more.
Yeah, that's true too. So, David, we're getting close to the end of the show, but I have a few more questions for you.
Okay.
What is something you would like to tell that current David would like to tell past David about shooting?
Oh, it's a great one. Get more serious about it sooner. Don't kind of edge into it, especially if you're the kind of guy who sticks with something for a while. Just jump in with both feet and get after it. Would be my recommendation first and foremost. But also number 2 is don't reach past dollars to pick up pennies. As far as making gear purchases and things like that, really think about the cost of ownership in a long-term model. Don't do it transactionally, but I'll save $100. Like, a good example of that is when you're buying a press. If you're already going to commit, if you're in for a penny, be in for a pound. Like, don't buy a square deal B, save up a little bit more money and buy like a 750 or whatever, something that you can put a case feeder on. Because if you're buying a progressive press, you want to be able to produce a lot of ammo really quickly. And with like a 550 or a square DLB, you just don't quite get at the numbers you can get at with the, 750 and the 1100 series. And frankly, I mean, there was the Frankfurt Arsenal just came out with their new press that is basically an 1100. So I might pick up one of those to mess around with, because I don't want to spend 1100, money on a press.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of wish now, after looking at it, I wish, since I spent so much money on my 750, I wish I just bought an 1100.
Yep. See, and it's that way every single time. Like, it's only going to speed you up by 200 rounds an hour or so. But at the same time, the entire point of spending any money at all is to reload rapidly, or else we'd all do it on single stage presses. And
yeah,
so, I mean,
and honestly, it's the deswaging and the deswaging station is always nice, and just all the extra options you have. Instead of having 5 holes, you have like 6 or 8.
Well, the RAM operation is just way more consistent as well. Like, even if you have cases that are sticking, when you pull it down, it doesn't wear out your shoulder as much, so it makes it easier to pull the lever.
Yes. Yeah. Or you just pay somebody to load ammo for you, I guess.
Or you could do that, buy factory, be rich and buy factory ammo.
Yeah. Well, you went to do that for all your review guns now, it seems like.
Well, it's a time savings thing. I can, I have an economic case on why I can justify spending the money, and like, I only have so much free time, and I can edit more video rather than pulling the lever to swap my press over to minor, load a bunch of minor loads. But also it provides a superior product from a video side, because people want to know how the guns shoot with factory ammo. They don't care how my reloads do. They want to know about factory ammo. There are people who care about reloads, but there's more people who care about factory.
Yeah, true that. And if you're curious about what makes good ammo, David did do a video recently about what makes good ammo.
I did.
It was very educational.
There we go.
And there was graphs and like words on the screen that I had to actually look at instead of just listen to it.
You could do all the things, man. I just try. If I could make you smell things, I would, but I can't.
No,
we don't have that technology yet.
Yeah, that's true. We don't. But honestly, I only want that on a food channel. I don't want to smell someone's nasty ass house at like on a remodel.
I would make it smell like my range BO, because it was like 100 degrees that day when I was filming, and the smell of gunpowder. That would be the smell she would get.
Or
like you were there.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Or you make it smell like pho from Jen's restaurant.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh, that'd be nice. There you go.
You
just need to make them a channel sponsor at this point by now, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Good with it.
That'd be delicious. Now, speaking of, we didn't even talk about this, but you all should go buy some Sacred Speedwork apparel, because Ken's cool. And David,
he's not that cool. He wears yoga pants to shoot, guys. He's not that cool.
I mean,
he's a nice guy, but he's not that cool.
He learned it from JJ. It's all JJ's fault.
No, Ken's a bro. I like bro.
Yeah.
I like Ken. Go buy some Sacred stuff. He makes nice shirts.
Yeah, David makes me sad because he didn't. We didn't coordinate, so I guess that's my fault. We're not wearing.
You didn't send me the email. No, I'm wearing my 6 Hour Small Arms T-shirt because it amuses my 4-year-old.
I mean, yeah, because dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, that's right. It has a dinosaur on it. This was a very popular T-shirt at the airport when I was traveling back from New Hampshire the other week.
There you go. And then that is always fun. How many you've traveled a little bit now, haven't you? You went to Florida and now New Hampshire?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Sig has been nice. Sig has been nice to you and letting you go to these secret squirrel events.
That's true, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, must be nice. It's okay. We'll get there someday. We'll get to go somewhere. But we got to pay the bills a little bit. So who are your sponsors?
Competitively, I shoot for Bull Armory. I am a brand ambassador. So the Ultimate Racer is a super awesome open gun. If you don't want to break the bank, it's a super awesome open gun, period. So Bull Armory currently is my only competitive sponsor. Other than that, it's my YouTube channel. So subscribe to the Humble Marksman YouTube and watch all the videos, sit through all the ads, sign up for my Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Give him $1.
Send me money.
Yes.
No. There we go.
No, yeah. David writes good blog posts if you care to listen through them, read through them, or listen to the videos early. It's good content. It's worth at least $1. Think about it. You could not buy one Starbucks coffee a month and you'd be fine.
More than covered. And I mean, I do actually like. I'll be recording a video tomorrow morning on the new Bull Armory 1911 that they sent me for the review channel, and just like I speak very directly and very frankly about the products. You know, are a little more reserved when we go live with the fully produced video, but the raw unfiltered stuff is there on the Patreon thing. So you get a behind the scenes look at some things. I'll be what I told you about in the pre-show. I'll be doing a post about that as well. So there's little behind the scenes stuff, and I don't know, it's fun. It's nice to have a smaller community to be able to bounce ideas off of and interact with kind of directly. So it's cool.
It is pretty cool, and it's a nice community too, because everyone's like at least some level of interest and or knowledge prior to joining. So it's not like you've got to go all the way to the bottom.
No, the patrons are all great.
Just keep giving him money.
No, I mean that very seriously. Like I don't get like, if you read the comments or like Facebook groups are the worst. They got to the point where it's just like there's absolutely no value in being on Facebook, because just the like somebody had a bad idea 10 years ago and it is echoed to this day by people who don't shoot enough to know better. And that's not on my Patreon page. Like everybody who is there usually has a pretty solid attitude. I say usually, I would go so far as to say always has a really solid attitude. People disagree with me sometimes, but like they substantiate their opinions and say why they disagree. And it's always thoughtful stuff. So like there's a pretty good level of discourse on all the posts over there. So I enjoy my Patreon about as much as I enjoy making YouTube stuff.
Well, that's cool. Well, David, where else can they find you on the internet?
If you like to send messages, then I basically use Instagram as if it were just an instant messaging client, or Telegram. I'm also the Humble Marksman on Telegram. That's probably my preferred messaging platform, but Instagram works too.
Yep, Patreon, YouTube channel, the Humble Marksman. Go check him out there. And what, you've got a side channel too, don't you?
Yeah, the Arrogant Marksman. So that's all my low effort USPSA competitive shooting centric stuff that I don't care to put enough time into. But there's still value there for people who think, if you're listening to this podcast, you would find value in a lot of stuff. That's where I host my podcast, actually, is we record it via YouTube Live on that channel. And then I post it on my RSS feed when I rip the audio.
Which is easy and beneficial. It's got cool things to touch.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, David, I do want to thank you for coming on and spending your evening with me away from your family and dinosaurs and Legos. But but I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. It's been a blast. Hopefully the listeners, you learned something. And to the listeners, thank you for checking out this video. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time, get out and do the things, and I will see you on the next one.